Welcome to the fifth edition of the Global Festival of Oneness, celebrating the life and works of AdiShankara, organized by Indica Center for Moksha Studies. My name is Anuradha, and I'm the host for today's session. Let us start with the prayer. Sadashiva Samarambham, Shankaracharya Madhyamam, Asmadacharya Paryantam, Vande Guru Paramparam. This Monday morning, we are having with us Vid.PV Rajaraman, who is going to talk on the subject Understanding the Nuances of Dharmashastras by Following the Footsteps of AdiShankaracharya. Before we get on to the talk, I'd like to introduce the speaker. Vid.PV Rajaraman is a highly qualified individual with extensive academic and spiritual accomplishments. Currently, he serves as the head of Department of Artificial Intelligence at Adi Shankara Institute of Engineering and Technology in Kaladi. In addition to his academic achievements, Rajaraman ji has also pursued spiritual studies. He has studied Nyaya and Vedanta Shastras under the guidance of Brahmashri Goda Venkateshwara Shastrigal from 2009 to 2013. He has been doing Upanyasam since he was 18 years old. His spiritual pursuits have also earned him the prestigious Bhagavadpadacharya Brahmashri Anjam Krishnan Nambudri Memorial Award in 2018 from Sri Ayyappa Bhakta Sabha in Mahalingapuram, Chennai. Welcome, Rajaraman ji.
Namaste. योऽन्तः प्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसूक्तां सञ्जीवयत्य किल शक्तिधरस्वदाम्ना अन्यांश्च हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वकादीन् प्राणान्नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम् शारदा शारदाम्बोजवदना वदनाम्बुजे सर्वदा सर्वदास्माकं सन्निधिं क्रियाति वंशी विभूषितकरान्नवनीरदाभाते पीताम्बरातरुणबिम्बफलातरोष्टाते पूर्णेन्दुसुन्दरमुखातरविन्दनेत्राते कृष्णाः परं किमपि तत्त्वमहं न जाने अज्ञानां जाह्नवीतीर्थं विद्यातीर्थं विवेकिनां सर्वेषां सुखदं तीर्थं भारतीतीर्थमाश्रये विद्याविनयसम्पन्नं वीतरागं विवेकिनं वन्दे वेदान्ततत्त्वज्ञं विदुषेखरभारतीम् हरिः ओम्. With the anugraham of the Ubhay Jagadgurus of Dakshinamnaya Sharada Peetam and Bhagavan Swayam himself, we start this lecture on understanding the nuances of Dharmashastra in the path of AdiShankaracharya. This whole satsanga that is happening with reference to Shankara Jayanti taken up by the satsangis involved in it is something that which all the sadhakas have to appreciate and take a lot out of it. The efforts that are put in by people behind and by the lecturers are something phenomenal in nature, because this is going to be a repository of references that is going to be made ready for all the sadhakas. So having said that, I would like to get into the topic for today. Bhagavadpadacharya, who has predominantly spoken only of Jiva Brahma Aikyam throughout his Bhashyas, wherever there was an opportunity, Acharya has also commented upon other parts of Shastras wherever it is required. Acharya has a peculiar style of conveying things. He was straightforward in most of the instances in the Bhashyas. He was never beating around the bush, for which we used to think that he had only 32 years. So he did not have time to beat around the bush or to talk about topics that were irrelevant to the Prasthana-trayas. So having that in mind, any other topic that which was equally important, even though it was equally important, Acharya did not spend a huge amount of time on writing about it. Point number one to reason this is because we do not need Acharya directly in order to explain that to us. I'll justify my point. If I have to know about dharma, or to be very precise, swadharma, or the dharma which is ordained to me by the Vedas, it is pretty straightforward and direct. We have the Dharmashastra Granthas which is specifying it to us in great detail. The question is, do we need Acharya to explain that to us again? Or there are many Dharmashastra Nipunas, the Purohitas, they are all very well versed in it, and it is also pretty straightforward in nature. Now, where do we need Acharya is, as Acharya himself tells at the start of Bhagavad Gita Bhashyam, as there are a lot of misinterpretations that has already happened on the Bhagavad Gita. Now this Bhagavad Gita requires somebody to set things straight. That is why I am starting this Bhashyam. So the reason for the Bhashyas is pretty straightforward. Wherever we have clarity, Acharya is not intending to focus on it. So wherever we need clarity, or wherever some misinterpretations have already happened, and that is where Acharya is primarily focusing. That is why when it comes to Dharmashastras, we see only Acharya referring few things here and there, or making statements, the two of very few in nature in the Bhashyas. It does not mean Acharya is not prioritizing it. Of course, Acharya is prioritizing as it is in the Sampradaya. But when compared to the Vakyas of Jiva Brahma Aikyam and Dharmashastras, people normally think that Acharya is not focusing on it. It is because we are already familiar with it, or we should be, because Ataha Brahma Jignasa. What does that Ataha mean? We should already be experts in Dharmashastras. Vihita Shastra karmas have to be performed. Pariksha Lokan, Karmachitan, all the karmas already have been performed, and we are ready to drop it. In that case, when I am eligible for Brahma Vichara and come here, and what if Acharya again talks in detail about Dharmashastras? How will it be? It will be making a 10th standard student listen to first standard class again. I am not trying to criticize the Dharmashastras here. No, it cannot be criticized. It is a part of the process. But when a student is eligible for Brahma Vichara, there is no requirement for Dharmashastra there because he has already surpassed it. So from that perspective, Dharmashastras have to be seen in the works of AdiShankaracharya. Now, before we enter into Dharmashastras direct, we'll have to define what is Sadachara. So what is Sadachara? Sadacharavatam pumsam jitau loka ubhavapi sadavaha kshina doshaha sihu sapsabdha sadhuvachakaha tesham acharanam yattu sadacharaha sa uchyate iti. Now, this Sadachara Lakshanas or the general texts that we follow for Sadachara or Dharmashastra has got slight variance with respect to Desachara. Predominantly, I am from Tamil Nadu, so here we follow Vaidyanatha Dikshitiyam. In some other parts of the Dravida Desas, they follow Nirnaya Sindhu. Likewise, the There are slight differences in texts that we follow, but the references taken in those texts are predominantly same. So I am taking references from Vaidyanath Dikshitiyam, as it is famously called, or Smriti Mukta Palam. Now, Sadacharavatam Pumsam Jitau, people who are well versed in Sadachara, by them, both the worlds are one, the Ihaloka and the Paraloka. It is also going to help us in opening the doors for Paraloka, Swargadwaram Apavritam, as told in Gita, in a different context. Swargadwaram Apavritam. Likewise, this Sadachara is also going to open doors for Paraloka. Now, this Sadachara is going to apply for people who consider themselves as Astika. Now, how do you define an Astika? Astika, as in nowadays we define as people who accept in God, people who don't accept in God. That is how generally in our mind we have Astikas versus Nastikas. But the definition of Astikas goes beyond it. An Astika is somebody who has to accept in Paraloka. An Astika is somebody who has to accept in Punarjanma. And if you are going to ask for proofs from your day-to-day activities, you cannot find proofs for Punarjanma. You cannot find proofs for Paraloka. So, for all this, the Shastras are the only Pramana. So, people who accept Punarjanma, people who accept Paraloka, and people who accept that the punyas and the papas that we commit today will get accumulated, and then I am going to experience the phala of the karma that I have already done. So, anything good happens to me, anything bad happens to me, I am only responsible for it. This comprehensive understanding is required to get into Dharmashastra. Otherwise, Dharmashastra will not work out. So, Sadacharavatam Pumsam Jitau Loka Ubhavapi Sadavaha Kshina Doshaha, the ones who do not have any doshas with them, or they are nirmala in nature, Kshina Doshaha Syuhu Sat Sabdaha Sadhuvachakaha Tesham Acharanam Yattu Sadacharaha Cha Uchyate. And anything that is practiced by these people who do not commit any sin, or who has not accumulated predominantly big sins, who are away from papa karmas, and they are addressed by the Sat Sabdaha, and they are sadhus. And Mahajano Yenagata Sapantaha, this is what is the word. I'm only trying to define it. Tesham Acharanam Yattu Sadacharaha Sa Uchyate. Okay. Samskara Majjaryam Yasmin Deshe Acharaha Parampariyam Kramagataha. Paramparya Kramagataha. Yasmin Deshe Ye Acharaha. So see, when they even start defining, they are getting into Desacharaha. There are many things which is done even today with respect to Desacharaha. For example, Shika is Desacharam. Vastradharanam again is Desacharam. Yasmin Deshe Ya Acharaha Paramparya Kramagataha. Whatever Achara is coming in a lineage, Paramparya Kramagataha, Shruti Smritya Virodhene. It is not only respected just because it comes down in a lineage, it is accepted in the Shrutis and the Smritis. Shruti Smritya Virodhene Yadacharasya, Sadacharasya Uchyate iti. Now that is what is defined as sadacharaha. Shruti smritya virodhene, that is very important. There can be few deviations from the practices as shown in the Shruti and Smriti. That only has to be considered as error. I'm not telling it is a mistake, it is an error. And what will happen to error? Error keeps accumulating. Anybody who is scientifically exposed will be able to understand whatever I'm talking. Error accumulates. Even in the smallest vernier caliper experiment that we did in our school, 10th standard, there was an error rate calculated. It is going to measure the volume of a container, say, there will be an error rate calculated. Why it is? There will be some sort of error that has to be accounted. The same way, when some dharma is coming down thousands and thousands and thousands of years, we can expect small errors here and there with respect to the desachara, with respect to kulachara, and with respect to migrations and all. People come from a different part of the country, join us. We go from one part of the country to a different part of the country, join them. At that time, there can be slight additions and subtractions in the dharma that we followed. Now, how will we correct it? You have to go back to the vakyas and correct it. We are referring to the practices which we predominantly call as sampradaya, that is one side. On the other side, the mula vakyas that are there, that is what is referred here as Shruti Smritya Virodhena. Nowadays, few practices could have joined on a day-to-day routine. But if they are against what is prescribed in the Shruti and the Smriti, that has to be discarded. This is point 2. Point 3 is something very important that I would like to mention and go forward to Bhagavadpada. Dharmaha vyatikramo drishtaha mahatam sahasam tatha tad anvikshya pariyunjanaha samsidat avaralo avaraha abalaha tejomayani purvesham sharirani indriyani cha doshaiste nopalipyante padmapatra ivambasa iti. When we refer to great Mahatmas who are pujaniyas in nature, tad anvikshya prayunjanaha samsidat tavaro balaha tejomayani purvesham sharirani. See, those pujaniyas, even when we look in detail into their life history or charitra, at a very small percentage we see it appears as though they do not follow dharma at a particular part of their life. Arguably, I am not justifying it, it appears as though we get doubt. Oh, we claim that, oh, this rishi has done this way, he has eaten this sort of food, he has done this sort of action, then even I will take up the same action in my life. This here, it is told that if you do the same thing, you will perish. How should you consider them? Dharma vyatikramo drishto mahatam sahasam tata. It is their sahasam, which means, I'll give you a very laukika example. We all know that the road in which we travel normally is divided into two. And there is a line that is drawn in the middle of the road. And we all know while driving, we should not go beyond the line. But an expert driver who is pretty consistent with his driving skills and everything, at some point, he goes beyond the line, maybe for the sake of overtaking, and comes back. And this is being watched by somebody who is novice, tries to do the same thing, he will not succeed in it. A very Laukika example, only for the sake of understanding I am telling. I am not directly comparing this with the rishis. No, it will not work that way. But the rishis, who are experts, who are mantra drashtas, seemingly it will appear in their charitra that they have just crossed the line of dharma and coming back. It is their sahasam. When we follow doshaiste nopalapyante, doshaihi na upalapyante, they will not attain any dosha while doing it. They are taking that in their life as Padmapatra Ivambasa. It will touch them and not even get into them, it will just go off. But we will get carried away by that. They use their actions as a tool to express something to the world. But when we follow the same, it will result in something very bad. So, having that in mind, having defined Sadachara, we'll get into Acharya's way of looking at it. First thing, Acharya is considering what as dharma. Dharma, Shruti Smriti Lakshanaha, Kshatradinam api niyanta, Jagataha, Vaichitriya Kritam, Prithivyaadinam, Parinama Hetutvat, Pranibihi Anuštiyamana Rupascha. In Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, in the Dvitiya Kandam, 5th chapter, 11th mantra. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad 2.5.11. Dharmaha Shruti Smriti Lakshanaha. Acharya is considering both Shruti and Smriti. So, Dharma lies in the Shruti and the Smriti. It means the instructions given. And it also consists of the power which is able to control even the Kshatriyas, Kshatradinam api niyanta. That power which causes the variety of the universe through the transformation of elements and is also practiced by Pranibihi Anuštiyamana Rupascha, and it is also practiced by people. It has, so Acharya is telling, to summarize this, Dharma is all powerful. It controls even the most powerful Kshatriya. The Kshatriya who has the ability to control everyone now is being controlled by Dharma. There is no Swatantriyam for him even. Even for a Kshatriya or for a Vaishya or for a Brahmana or for a Chaturtha, what is Dharma? How do you define the Pramanam for Dharma? The Pramanam is Tasmat Shastram Pramanante Karya Karya Vyavastitau. Jnatva Shastra Vidhanoktam Karma Kurtum Iharhasi. Tasmati Shastram Pramanam. Acharya writes Jnana Sadhanam Te Tave Karya Karya Vyavastitau. Kartavya Akartavya Vyavasthayam. What is to be done? What is to be avoided? Avasthayam. Ataha Jnatva, having known that, Shastra Vidhanoktam Buddhva Vidihi. All the Vidivakyas have Vidihi Vidhanam Shastrena Vidhanam Shastra Vidhanam Kuryat Na Kuryat Ityevam Lakshanam Tena Uktam. What is to be done? What is not to be done? Iha iti karmadhikara bhumi pradarshanartham iti. Bhagavadpadacharya virachitaha bhashyani. In the bhashyas written by Acharya, in Bhagavad Gita, chapter number 16, sloka number 24, Acharya clearly tells what is to be done, what is not to be done. Kuryat, na kuryat, ityevam lakshanam, tena uktam. Fine. Whatever is not told in the Shastras, Do not do them. Yascha shrutva ninditam tanna kartavyam. Yascha na kriyate nasa shastrartaha. Yascha shrutya ninditam tanna kartavyam. What is Shrutya Ninditam? Whatever is to be told to be avoided in the Shrutis have to be avoided. Yascha nakriyate. So if you see something that is practiced that is not told in the Shruti, na sa shastrarthaha. It is not the purport of the Vedas to even convey that to you. Yascha nakriyate na sa shastrarthaha. Okay. Now, Acharya is very strict about following the Shrutis and the Smritis. So that has to, I'm just trying to establish that all this is very well known to all, but looking it through the Bhashyas is the aim here. How is Acharya emphasizing on all this? We all know things, there is no doubt in it, but there might be one sadhaka, if he hears, if he is able to hear all this from the mouth of Acharya, the Shraddha Shakti that he has got in him will double. So that is why I am trying to quote Acharya wherever Acharya is talking about Dharmashastras. So beyond all, dharma has to be prioritized. Dharmasya sarva balatvatvarate sarva balavattaratvate sarva niyantritvam siddham. Sarva niyantritvam, sarva niyamakaha kaha, Ishvaraha eva. He is the controller of all. But Acharya is telling here, dharmasya sarva bhalatvam siddhyati. How? Sarva niyantritvena. It is able to control all. Even a small rose which is blossoming, the red color of the rose is its dharma. The white color of the rose is its dharma. A flower blossoming in the same color, the sun not exceeding the akshareka, the samudram not crossing its boundary, all comes under its own dharma. So dharma controls literally everything. So whatever is told here is dharma. So satyamiti yata shastrarthata se eva anuštiyamanaha dharmanama bhavati shastrarthatvene nyayamanastu satyam bhavati. So what is truth? Only that which stays in accordance with the scriptures is truth. So the same thing when practiced is called dharma. There it is satyam, which is in line with yata shastrarthata. Sa eva anuštiyamanaha dharma nama bhavati. So truth, which is always staying in line with shastras, and when that is practiced by us, it becomes dharma. So shastrarthatvena nyayamanastu satyam bhavati. So there it is called satyam, and in the shastram, when it is practiced, it is called dharma. Now, when understood to be in accordance with the scriptures, it is truth. Otherwise, even our intellect that we perceive, if that is not in line with the scriptures, how can it be considered as truth? That is why Acharya tells, when somebody who is even a walking encyclopedia, if he is not the dharmavite, then murkavadupekshaniyaha. You should not consider him. I am not giving you the literal meaning there. I am giving you the vivaksha. He should not be considered. He should not be taken serious. That is it. So, that dharma, karmasu atmochiteshu stiratara dishanam dehadardyam tadartham, as told in Kamalajadaitashtakam by the 33rd Acharya of the Dakshinamnaya Sharada Peedam Jagadguru Shri Sachidananda Shivabhinam Prasamma Bharati Mahaswaminaha Karmasu Atmochiteshu. Now we've been defining dharma according to Acharya in all places, how Acharya prioritizes dharma beyond everything. Now coming down, I should have to engage in dharma that which is ordained to me. Karmasu atmochiteshu stiratara dishanam. I cannot keep performing dharma that is advised to another person based on another varna dharma. If it has to be followed only with respect to varnashrama dharma, where Acharya clearly tells Dvivido hi vedokto dharmaha pravrittilakshano nivrittilakshanaschya jagata sthiti karanam प्राणिनाम अभ्युदय निश्रेयस हेतुर्यः स धर्मः ब्राह्मणाद्यैः वर्णिभिः आश्रमभिश्च श्रेयोर्तिभिः अनुष्ठीयमानः दीर्घेन कालेन वर्णिभिः आश्रमिभिश्च वर्णधर्मः cannot be omitted. Now, when I tell Atmochiteshu, what does it mean? Based on my varna that I have taken up along with this body is itself a disease in its nature. Birth is disease in nature. We are trying to eradicate this disease. For that, I am given a set of medicines. Another person who has got a different type of a disease is given a different set of medicines. Based on its kapavada pitta, shitoshna in his body, he is given a different set of medicines. I am given a different set of medicines, but it has to be understood everyone has got the disease and the solution is also same, which is attaining moksha to go beyond birth and death. But in between that, based on the kapavada pitta, as the medicine is different, the same way different people do have different approaches. But ultimately, there is no doubt in the end result, which is yadi nivaranam. There is no problem with that. Nobody denies that. But the medicines are definitely different. So, Acharya starts with that. When he talks about the Dharmashastra indirectly here and there, in his works, Acharya starts that it is understood I am in this process of this disease, and how do I substantiate it? Adau karma prasangate kalayati kalusham matrukukshau sthitam mam. I am now born. Now, the very reason that I am born, it is understood that I am not out of this samsara chakra. I am born now. Adau karma prasangat kalayati kalusham. I am now born as my past karmas have started to fructify. I have done many karmas. I am born. And the moment I am born, I am already in dukkha. Vinmutra amedhya madhye kathayati nitaram jataro jatavedaha. I have started to experience dukkham, as Acharya nicely says in Mohamudgaram punarapi jananam punarapi maranam punarapi janani jatare shayanam. Okay. Matrukukshau sthitam mam. That is the first hint that I am not beyond this. So that is itself a papa phala that I am experiencing. I am not able to breathe properly. I am boiled among all the things that are filthy in nature, things that we normally avoid I am amongst it. And yadvedvai tatra dukkam vyathayati nitaram shakyate kena vaktum. I experience all sort of difficulties, that which is unexplainable in nature. Hey Parameshwara, it is because did not utilize the previous janma properly, I am now born. If I would have used it properly, then I should have attained moksham. Now coming back, now this is another chance for me. Now Acharya is trying to give us reasons for our birth. Now Acharya tells, no shakyam smarta karma pratipata gahana pratyavaya kulakyam. No shakyam smarta karma. The smrityukta karmas that are given down to me or beyond me, which means I am not following them. No shakyam smarta karma pratipata gahana pratyavaya kulakyam. So I am getting the papas that which is now taunting me. And why did they accumulate those papas? Because I did not follow the smriti vakyas perfectly. As per the Shruti Vakyas, if I don't live, it means Acharya is telling it should not be understood that we do not follow and chant this sloka once. No. He is insisting that we live a life according to the Smritis. That is the purport of this. It should not be understood that we are not able to live. So what? We only have to chant this sloka once because Acharya is already representing all of us. No. That is not the thing. That is a famous debate which I do not wanted to open now, but just wanted to hint you. Should we live up to the expectations of the Acharyas? Or is it only enough if we regret that we are not able to live and show as though we are good? Regretting often is good. We feel proud. Oh, I am at least regretting. No, that is not at all enough. You have to live a life in accordance with the Smriti Vakyas and the Shruti Vakyas, which is again instructed by Acharyas. There is no second thoughts on it. That is why we tell Yatashaktihi. But the best possible have to be done. There is no doubt in it. So Acharya tells no Sakyam, Smarta Karma, according to the Smriti Vakyas. Now, what are the Shrutis saying? Right from early morning till we go to sleep in the night, the Smritis have given us a timetable. Prataha Uttaya, Pratamataha Bhavat Smaranam. For a Bhagavata, for a Bhakta, in Tamil, it is famously said when we get up, Harirendra Peraravam Kettilayel. I should utter the Bhagavan Nama, Harihi, Atava Shambhuhu. Any Ishtadevata, we start there. The Dharmashastras are dictating you also focus on Dharma and Artha in the early morning after Bhagavat Smarana. Tadanantaram Dantavadanaha. You have slokas for that. You have time for that. You have a method for that. You have a time for that. More important, you have to at least brush for so many minutes, as the modern day dentists say. And then when you say gargle and spit it out, you have Dharmashastras mentioning how many number of times that have to take water inside your mouth and spit. It is said after eating food, it has to be done 16 times. After Vinmutradehe, after cleansing our bowels, it has to be done thrice or 4 times, along with Achamaniya, All these are smrityuktam. No shakyam smartha karma pratipada. All these are ordained. So what am I trying to tell here is there is no karma in this Sanatana Dharma which we can do as per our wish. So Smriti is taking care of it. Now, Shraute Varta Katam me Dvijakula Vihite Brahma Marge Nusare. Now, when smartha karmas are over me, now how can I even speak of the Vedic instructions, especially for a Brahmana? Dvijakula Vihite Brahma Marge Asurare. What is even there for me to talk about it? But still, let us talk. Acharya is putting it that way. I am just taking it the other way. If he tells what can I talk, then I understand we have to talk. Let us look at some parts where Acharya is talking about Shruti-yukta karmas. For example, we have famous vakyas like Yavat Jivam Agnihotram, Juhome ityadi. Vidya Sayuktam, Nityam Agnihotradi, Vidya Vidyavihinam cha, Ubhayam api, Mumukshuna, Moksha Prayojana Uddeshena, Iha Janmani, Janmantareva, Prag Jnanotpatte Kritam Yati Tate, Yata Samartyam, Brahmadigame Pratibhande Karane, Upatta Durita Kshaya Hetu Dwarene, Brahmadigama Karanatvam, Pratipatyamanam, Shravane, Manane, Shraddha, Tatparyadi, Antaranga Karanapeksham, Brahmavidyaya, Saha Ekakaryam Bhavati. A very important verse from the Bhashyas. All the karmas or rites like Agnihotra, etc. Now, where am I picking this up? I am picking this with respect to Shraute Varta Katam me Dvijakula Vihite, as ordained in the Shrutis. All the obligatory rites like Agnihotra, not only Agnihotra, Upasana, Vaishwadeya, all this. Now, what is the proof, etc. Agnihotradi. Now, you do all this with respect to Dhyanam. You understand it, you have the Tatparyartham and do them, or you do it without respect to them. With Vidya Sayuktam Nityam Agnihotradi Vidyavihinam cha Ubhayam. You do it associated with Dhyanam. That which is performed by you either in this Janma, Iha Janmani, Janmantarecha, Prag Jnanotpattehe Kritam Yate, that which is done without attaining Jnanam by the ones who is hankering after it, becomes the destroyer of all the accumulated papas. See, where is Agnihotram, Upasana, Vaishwadaya are coming in is the picture here. There is a predominant abhipraya about Acharya telling that Acharya is not encouraging karma at all. But here, Vidya Sayuktam Nityam Agnihotradi Vidyavihinam se Ubhayam api Mumukshuna Moksha Prayojana Uddesena. You do this as karma yoga. With reference to Bhagavad Gita, people will be able to understand. I am not going into the details of it. Moksha Prayojana Uddesena Iha Janmani Janmantarecha Prag Jnanotpattehe Kritam Yate Tate Yata Samartyam. You do it for the reason of accumulating all the papas that you have accumulated, Brahmadigama Pratibandha Karanopata Durita Kshaya Hetudwarene Brahmadigama Karanatvam Pratipadyamanam. You engage in all these Agnihotra, Upasana, Vaishwadeyadi karmas along with the usual practices that are told for Brahmanishta, that is Shravana, Manana, Shraddha, Tatparya, etc. Shravana Mananadi that you are already doing, it is in no way told that you leave all of those and do this. It is direct from the Bhashya. Now, they come to have the same result as the knowledge of Brahman has. What? Hearing, Shravana, Manana, reflection, Shraddha, Dhyana, Bhakti, Tatparyadi, Antarange, Karana, Apeksham, Brahmavidya, Saha, Ekakaryam Bhavati. So, all the Agnihotra, the karmas that as ordained, as told in the Shrutis, Shraute Varta Katam me Dvijakula Vihite Brahma Bharge Asurare Nyato Dharmaha Vicharaihi Shravana Mananayoho Kim Nididhyasitavyam. When I am not even, when I am, see, there are a few openings here that I have made, which could be possibly bringing in a lot of questions. I'm just doing upasamharam there. When somebody who has not attained the Chitta Shuddhi and who is not eligible for direct Vedanta Shravana, all this will come into play. Now, people should not misunderstand that you are very, you are very interested in Vedanta and Vedanta is very pleasing to you. You are very close by heart to it, which means you are eligible for it. In that case, don't get confused that you have to come back and do all this. But in the case of a person who has not got any sort of Chitta Shuddhi, the person who I mentioned before can be a sannyasi even. But as far as we are a grihastha and doing Vedanta Shravanam, it is always encouraged to do the Nitya Karmas also and engage in Vedanta Shravanam. That is as per the scriptures. But if you are a sannyasi, if someone is a sannyasi who has gone beyond all this, is above all this, there are no doubts there. But the other way, it cannot be skipped. Everything as told. For example, you get up at 4:30 a.m. and do prarthanas in the early morning. And then you go to bath before the sun rises. It is there in Smriti. You refer to Vaidyanatha Dikshitiyam or Nirnaya Sindhu, it is told Snanam has to be done in a Punya Tirtham before the sun rises. Natva Pratyushakale Snapana Vidhi Vidau Nakritam Gangatoyam. Acharya is telling here, not even once I have finished my bath before the sunrise and water that is brought from Ganges. Nakritam Gangatoyam Pujartham va. And then what? When he talks about Snana, what does the Smriti tell? The Smriti tells about Snana, that which has got Pancha Angani. When you get up, you wear mostly the vastram which you wore yesterday. In Tamil, we call it Viluppu, which is not clean in nature. It is told you take a bath with that vastram first. You cleanse yourself first. And then you engage in Sankalpa. And that is where Panchanga Patanam will come. When you do Sankalpa, you tell the Titivara Nakshatra, everything in accordance to that day in the morning. So throughout the day, you will be knowing the nakshatram, the tithi, the hora, everything. Then you chant Agamarshana Sukta if you are well known with the Taittiriya Upanishad. Agamarshana. Or you chant Ganga Stotram. Athava Gange Gange Tuyu Bruyat Yojananam Satairapi Muchate Sarva Papebhya Vishnulokam Sagachati iti Vakya. Eti Slokani Santi. All this, any of these slokas can be chanted. And then there is Devapitra Tarpanam as a part of Snanam. And then there is Shikodakam, Vasodakam, where you give the water of the clothes that you wore. You offer the water from the end of the Shika. All these are parts of Snana. Acharya is just hinting everything here. Snatva pratyushakale snapana vidhi vidhau. Following the rules for bathing. And then bringing water from the holy river for Devata Puja. Pujartam va kadachiti. I have not brought the water from the river for my daily puja. And then I have not plucked the flowers as told in the Shastras for Devata Puja. Nanita Padmamala Sarasi Vikasita Gandhadupaihi Tvadartam Bilvidalanicha Bilvadalanicha Bilvidalaha. I have not plucked the Bilvadalam, the Bilva leaves as told in the scriptures. I have not performed the daily pujas as told in the scriptures. If you have doubt what Acharya is referring to, just refer to Anhika Kandam in Vaidyanatha Dikshitiyam. Acharya is referring to that. How to bring water, what flowers to be plucked, how are the flowers to be plucked, what chintana or what slokam or what stotram you have to tell during plucking flowers. All these have to be followed. Now, I regret for not following them. Shantavyo me paradaha Shiva 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 Boho Shri Mahadeva Shambho. All these are practice. When you pass Mutra Visarjanam, you have to do Achamaniyam once. After Mala Visarjanam, Achamaniyam has to be done twice. Before having food, you'll have to wash your hands and legs, and till a lengthy part of the hand, till this part, till your elbows, your arms have to be wet. Your legs have to be wet when you sit down for ahara. And after you take your ahara, you have to do achamaniyam twice. It is all told, no? It is all told. These Dharmashastra Kartas will keep telling it there. Who will follow? Or as a Vedanti or as a Mumukshu, why should I follow? No. Refer to Chandogya Upanishad 5.2.2. Mokshamanasya Bhuktavatascha Yata Achamanam Shuddhyartam Vijñatam Tasmin Pranasya Vasaha. Acharya in his Bhashya in Chandogya Upanishad 5.2.2 in a very specific way tells one should look upon the advices given in the Shastras with respect to the Achamaniya before and after eating. Tasmin Pranasya Vasaha, as a garment of prana. So all the times wherever Achamaniya is prescribed, it has to be done. So these are only few vakyas that I was able to remember when I was given this topic. Even with respect to Achamaniyam that has to be performed at the appropriate time, Acharya has recommended. It should not be understood that Acharya is primarily focused on Vedanta alone, so that is enough. No. The way of life of a Vedanti is also prescribed. Bhuktavatascha yad achamanam suddhyartam. Now, as a Vedanti, how can he perceive Achamaniya? Achyutaya namaha, Anantaya namaha, Govindaya namaha. This is a remembrance of the Swarupa. Achyutaha, which is not the Swarupam, which is not going to change. Which doesn't change from its original state is Achyutaha. Chutam na bhavati. Anantaha. Govindaha. These are all remembrances of our Swarupamapi. So you do the adhyanam of all this without.
We just have 2-3 more.
Yes, madam. I'm following. Yes, madam. Thank you. Sarvanapi vedani adhitye sarvam cha anyad vedyam adhigamya api akritartha eva bhavati yavat atmatattvam janati. Ultimately, Acharya is culminating, you study the entire Vedas, you know things that have to be done, you practice it, but ultimately it should culminate in Atmajnanam. But till then, these are all very important. Last, only one statement I would like to make and end my session, which is an insight that is given by Acharya. When a person who thinks that a suffering that he is undergoing, when he is not doing ninda at the vyadhi that he has taken up, vyadhi parigrihitaha, jvaradi parigrihitaha sanne yate tapyate tad etat paramam tapa iti evam chintayataha vidushaha karma kshaya hetuhu tadeva tapaha bhavati anindataha avishidataha. You do not do ninda of the vyadhi that has come to you. For example, somebody has picked up a disease which restricts them from eating a particular food. Just imagine this. We will not go into the specifics. You are told not to eat a particular food because you have this disease. Now, there are two ways of approaching it. One is you can do ninda of the disease, or you can do ninda of yourself. I did that karma, I did that, this has come. You can scold the disease. No. But instead, if you use the same and do the same as tapas, jvaradi parigrihitaha sanne yati tapyate tad etat paramam tape it evam chintayataha vidushaha karma kshaya hetuhu. By doing that, you will go beyond that karma phala. You will win over it. For example, Parikshit Maharaja, who had received a great papa, but he used the papa or the curse that he got, that he is going to be bitten by Takshaka in 7 days. He used the same papa out of which he got the curse to come out of that papa. He's attained moksham by using the same curse. So Acharya is giving a beautiful insight. We have done papa, we have accumulated sins, and now all the papa pala is coming to us. Don't do ninda. Take that as tapas. I will not eat this kind of food at any cost. This is my tapas, and I am attributing it to my Ishtadevata. It is a tapas. When you are asked to do exercise, do it as tapas. Any disease that you have picked up, Do not be dejected over it and convert it into austerity. It will serve to wipe out all the evils. Bhavati anindataha avishidataha. This is a very good insight that Acharya is giving, which I wanted to share with all. So with this, I would like to conclude this session on Dharmashastras, understanding the nuances of Dharmashastras from the viewpoint of Acharya. So I do the samarpanam of this lecture at the lotus feet of the Acharyas and conclude. Again, thanks to all the members of the Academy, Advaita Academy, for considering me to deliver this lecture. Namo Namaha.
Thank you, Rajaraman. It's wonderful job. The closing remarks were indeed very uplifting, that not to blame anybody, but to take up any opportunity and any challenge as tapas and offer it to our Ishta Devata. We've really started our tapasya right now, actually. Thank you so much. Viewers, we have many such sessions coming up. In the evening at 7 p.m. India time, Srinath Mohan Das will be talking about Adi Shankara, a beacon of inspiration for contemporary world. So please do join us. Before we leave, I like to say that closing prayer. Om Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu, Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu, Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu, Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you very much and see you all in the evening.